see today with AI and the way that AI is doing. I mean, he was back in the day. He was back in the 1800s. And why would he be so interested in knowing how things are going today? So, hi, my name is Marilyn, and I am a slow stitcher, handmade artisan, and I welcome you to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you came. And if you're not and you came back, I am so excited to have you here, and I want to chat with you just a little bit about some things and how I'm going to get started. So, who the heck is William Morris? Why would he be so upset today? And what are we talking about? So, as I was researching for my wool applique, I love all the different flowers. I love to slow stitch flowers. I love to put birds in my things, vases, things that look like nature. I love all of those things. And whenever I do that and I put it into my projects, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel calm. And so as I was going through this book and looking for some applique ideas, I found the very beginnings of the book, and the author starts telling me, or it starts discussing the arts and crafts movement back in the 1800s and about William Morris. Well, that made me think about whenever I was in college, back when I was 19 years old, and I was in my first arts history class. And I remember studying all the different eras and all the different, times of different kinds of art. And I remember the arts and crafts movement. What is the arts and crafts movement? Well, first of all, let me explain to you about William Morris and who he was and why he was so big. So I have my notes because I looked in the book, and she started talking about who he was and why he was so important. Well, he was born in 1830, I think, died about 1890, I think, and he was in the UK. He had several homes, large homes, and a lot of those have been turned into museums. And so she was talking about those, and I started looking at his things, and I think, wow, this is really kind of cool. This is really things that I enjoy that I did not really realize that it came from William Morris. So he was a designer, an artist, a writer, and a maker, okay? He was very much against the Industrial Revolution. And he wanted to make sure that the creativity of a person, listen to the birds, as I'm talking about William Morris, that makes me even more interested in him because he was so into nature. He had very large yards, very large gardens, and he had all kinds of flowers and things like that. And when you go into his designs, now these are not William Morris's designs per se. These are Michelle Hill's, but they were all based on William Morris and all of the things that he did. And if you look at all of the ideas that she brings in, it's all nature. It's all nature, and it's all birds. And that's what I want to put. That's what I'm going to put in my next little thing, my next little project. I'm going to make a pillow, and pillows never go out of style. And one of the things that William Morris said, and let me see if I can find it. It's at the very, very top of the very first page. And it talks about a beautiful house. If I were asked to say what is one of the most important productions of art and the thing most to be longed for, I should answer a beautiful house. That's what he thought. He thought that everybody's home should be their castle. Everybody's home should be representative of what they feel. And that's what I like. Well, we all do that. We all decorate our homes that way, and we want to put the things that make us feel good. And that's where the arts and crafts comes in, and that's where handmade comes in. Now, what is the difference between the American Revolution and AI? There are, I've got it in my notes saying, what's the difference? Industrial Revolution versus AI. Differences, pros and cons. Well, you know what? There's a lot of pros to both of them. I mean, the Industrial Revolution made it to where things could be mass produced so that people could afford them. That was a good thing. But again, that word mass produced. And then it gave a lot of people jobs. That was one of the things that was necessary. So that was a pro. It made to where you could have things sent all over the world. That's a pro. Now, what's the cons for that? The cons are it takes the humanity out of it, the human aspect out of it. It takes, I mean, you have to still design and all of that, but if you make the machine do it, is it taking the human touch out of it? We could go back and we could start looking at sewing machines and how the difference in the sewing machine is, and that's a machine. Well, did it make our quilts any worse? No, it didn't. My goodness, you can make a quilt in so much less time if you do it by machine than if you do it by hand. But there's always something great to say about a handmade product. Now, when you're talking about the Industrial Revolution as compared to AI, well, is AI good? Oh my gosh. When I was researching William Morris and I started remembering about the art history class that I took back in the day, I remembered some things, but there were some things I didn't remember. I didn't remember what his dates of birth and death were. I didn't remember exactly where he was, when he did things, and what he was well known for. So I had to research that. Well, research. AI is like an encyclopedia. Back in the day, we had to look in the encyclopedias. We had to go to the library, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We still need to use encyclopedias. We still need to use, that kind of thing. I'm a teacher, so I'm saying, don't use technology all the time. Every once in a while, get in there and use your brain. So AI helped me to come in and research William Morris, but I have to be careful with that. I have to come in and say, okay, well, you know what? Let me just write all this stuff down and I'll just blurt it out. I'll just read it to everybody and there you go. Well, what good would that be? I'm sitting here doing a video for you so that you will listen to me, and so you will be not listen to me, but join me in talking about things. And I'm hoping you're putting some comments in the box so I can answer some questions for you or talk about things about the arts and crafts movement. So, AI is good. Those of you who love to cross-stitch and buy patterns and things, be careful when you do this. So AI, a lot of people are using AI to design cross-stitch patterns. Now, I love cross-stitch, so that's why I am talking about that. But it's not just cross-stitch. It's any kind of embroidery, any kind of slow stitching. There are some people there are some, not all, they go in and they say, okay, give me a chart for a bunny rabbit that is jumping through, the haystacks. So it will come up with this beautiful chart for you. But oh my gosh, when you get in there and you really look at the chart, and people put this on, and so be careful whenever you are buying charts. They'll put that on there. They have not gone in there and actually done the project, so they don't know how many mistakes are in there. And then they sell it to you, and then you go in and buy it, and you start working on it, and it goes from one thing to another. And you say, well, how did they get from here to here? They're not explaining it. And the artist or the person, the person that actually sold it to them, they didn't do the project. They just put it up for sale. So they're selling a lot of projects, but then, I don't know. AI is great, but you have to be careful. AI can be wrong. And so you want to make sure, the same way that back in the Industrial Revolution, if you put together something and you let the robot or you let the machines put it together, is it always good? There's always going to be something in there with inventory control that will go in there and they would say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't good. So they throw it out. So I don't know. That's good. That's a whole nother video. I just wanted to talk about AI and how the Industrial Revolution and how AI are almost identical. It's just 200 years, 250 years. Well, I guess, wait, how many? 1800 to 2000, that's 230 years. Whenever, it was all going, when all of this started. So in that amount of time, look how many things have changed. Now, is change bad? No, change is not bad. Change is good. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful, and we have to understand that there is a time and a place for everything. Now let's go back to handmade projects. So I regress, and I always do, and I come back and I say, you know what? It takes when I create things, there's a calming that comes over me when I create those things. When I start to slow stitch, I'm just doing it slowly, and I'm kind of cutting out all the noise. There's so much noise in the world. And just like I said, you can hear the birds outside, and and it was raining a while ago, and you could hear the rain hit on the roof, and there's a calming thing for you. And it really, really is good to be able to do something and be proud of something and not be worried about what someone is going to think about it. So enjoy that part of it. Enjoy that part of being craftful and making your crafts and making your handmade projects. Be real cognizant of that, and and let the noise go out. William Morris put a lot of nature in his projects. He put a lot of birds. He put a lot of flowers. I love to do that whenever I'm doing my projects. And so I do. I put a lot of flowers in it, a lot of birds, a lot of nature. And it just, you know how they say bringing the outside in, and that's what it does. That brings the outside in. So maybe the way I want to give you is on this, and it's, this hasn't been a very long video. I'm just brought in some things about William Morris and why I'm doing the research on him. And I've thought, wow, I wonder what everybody else thinks. Do you think the Industrial Revolution and AI is similar? And how it took over and how it's taking over? Well, you know what? William Morris fought that. We can fight that. I'm fighting it. I use it, but I'm fighting it. I don't let it take over me. I let it help me in my job. I let it help me in my business. I let it help me on, coming up with ideas. But in the end, it's me. It's my brain. It's my hands. It's my faith that that helps me decide, helps me with the decisions that I make. So anyway, thank you so much for coming today. And don't forget to subscribe, because I want to make sure that you know whenever I put new videos up. I've got a tutorial coming up in a couple of weeks that I think you're going to really enjoy. And it has to do with slow stitching, and it has to do with wool applique. So I think you're going to enjoy that. If you haven't looked at my other videos, check them out. I have a couple of freebies that you might want to look at. I'll put them in the description below so that you can go to my website and grab them. All you got to do is just put your email address in there, and then you can grab those, and you can add those to your stash of patterns and tutorials. So thank you so much for coming. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and bye. Have a good one. Bye-bye.